Bhagwan. Thank you so much, Bhagwan, for giving us this opportunity, this great fortune to be able to sing your name together in the powerful shrine where you are standing all the time, completely awake in the ever-wakefulness of the divine, blessing and pouring love on us. How could we ever thank you sufficiently for all this? Today, we shall see one or two glimpses of Bhagwan's love in action, what you call Leela, a demonstration of his selfless love, the universal love. Shri Ramaswamy of Tirukandiyur had lived for nearly 22 years in Bombay, and then he came down to the south, found a job in Ganga Varnishes in Pondicherry. He came to know about Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. So one evening at 6 o'clock, he came to Villupuram, took a bus to Tiruvannamalai. By the time he reached Bhagwan's abode, the then Sannidhi Street house, the then residence of Bhagwan in Sannidhi Street, it was early morning, 2:15 or 2:30. Just imagine anyone going and knocking at the door at that time. It's because in India, the Hindu tradition has given us this idea that these great masters belong to the whole cosmos, belong to the world, belong to the people, and the people could reach out any time for solace and succor. So he was right, in a way, to go there at that time and knock at the door. But even as he was reaching out to the rods fixed in the door, a figure came out like a storm. It just came from inside and shouted, "Who are you? Don't touch that. Go away. Get out." Now imagine Shri Ramaswamy, after traveling from 6 o'clock and reaching here at 2:30, only to be told, "Get out. Don't touch the door." But then Shri Ramaswamy knew already how the great masters would conduct themselves if the need arises. So he was not at all taken aback. Quietly he went up the steps of the chariot mandap and stopped there, waiting. And again, 3:15, slowly he went near, he approached the house and tried to knock at the door. Again, just as he was reaching out for the rod, this figure appeared again and shouted the very same words. Who are you? Don't touch this. Get out. Get out. Again, Shri Ramaswamy took it well. Now the more and more Bhagwan was chasing him out, the more and more determined he became to see Bhagwan and then only leave, no matter what. So he quietly left the place, went up the steps, sat there in the chariot mandap, awaiting his turn. And about 5:30, he once again went and knocked at the door. Again the figure came out, but this time it said, "Oh, you have not gone. You are still here. Who are you?" And then Bhagwan, the figure, opened the gate and let him in. Bhagwan made him sit in a corner, and then he went inside and locked himself in. So Ramaswamy and Bhagwan, before he disappeared into the inside of the house, he said, chant, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. And he disappeared into the house. So Sri Ramaswamy was sitting there. About, I think, 6 o'clock, when Shivacharya came, and he had a dozen, the mountain banana, and of course the turmeric rice. The rice soaked in the turmeric water. And then, of course, kumkum, the vermilion, red powder that the Hindu ladies put upon their forehead as a mark of auspiciousness. And the Shivacharya then said, Swami, I have been to Salem. Shri Paramacharya is camping there right now. So I went to see him. Immediately Bhagwan was all eagerness and inquired, what happened there? What did he say? And then the Shivacharya described, he said, there was a man who was looking after the lands belonging to the Shankaramat. But he was not paying anything at all, year after year. But he made use of the land pretty well, and whatever was the yield was taken away by him. And he never showed anything to the mutt, nor did he pay the mutt any money for that. He was cheating these people. But then, as soon as he heard Paramacharya was camping in Salem, he rushed there with all that he had to pay, and also dozens and dozens of this mountain plantain and some other fruits. Without being asked, without being told, he himself felt a pang of conscience and rushed there to pay back all that he owed to the mud and also the fruits that grew in the land. So those people around Paramacharya were surprised that such things should happen. Paramacharya, who's living in the house of truth, always established, would invoke such devotion and honesty in people. So Shivacharya was narrating this, and Bhagwan was absolutely delighted to hear the story. And then Shivacharya gave the plantain, the akshata as we call it, the rice, the turmeric rice, and of course the kumkum. Then Bhagwan just took them from his hand and began to dance joyfully. He was overwhelmed by Shri Paramacharya's attention and care and concern. He just put it on his head, touched it to his chest, and he started to dance. So blissful was he, so ecstatically happy was he, that she started to dance. He started to walk up and down, holding it very dear to his heart, holding it on his head, at the same time moving about, saying, "Oh, Paramacharya, Paramacharya has blessed this beggar. Paramacharya has sent this beggar this Prasad. He has sent Kamakshi's Prasad." So he was dancing and walking up and down, up and down. Shri Ramaswamy understood everything that was happening. And then Shivacharya added, Swami, Shri Paramacharya added one more thing. What? He said, "You go tell Yogi Ramsuratkumar of Tiruvannamalai that I want him to start a Veda Agama Patashala. It is a Vedic Patashala that I want Yogi Ramsuratkumar to start in Tiruvannamalai." So Bhagwan was absolutely delighted. He started to dance ecstatically, all the time repeating, "Oh, Paramacharya asked this beggar to start a Ved Patshala. Oh, Paramacharya asked this beggar, this dirty beggar, to start a Ved Patshala in Tiruvannamalai. How kind is he? Do you know Paramacharya asked this beggar to start Ved Patshala?" So he kept on asking, walking up and down, sometimes dancing gleefully. And then by 6:30 he sent him away. He sent the Shivacharya away with some prasad. Then Bhagwan asked Ramaswamy in detail all about him. He had to stay there till about 9 o'clock. Just see, there was somebody there who witnessed this event to report to us today. Otherwise we wouldn't know about it. That such a thing happened, that Shri Paramacharya, at his insistence, at his command, today Bhagwan is running a Ved Patshala in the ashram. So it started with Shri Paramacharya, and this idea blossomed in the land of Yogi Ramsuratkumar Ashram, all by the pure grace of Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar. And there are children from places like UP, Bihar, Orissa, Andhra, all 7 years, 8 years, intelligent, innocent boys who are ready to leave their parents 1,000 miles away. Imagine, can we do it? A mother, will she be able to send her 7-year-old son away 1,000 miles away to study. Unheard of in the south. These people have come forward, and about 14 children around the age of 10, 11 and below that, studying here in the ashram. It's a tapas for the children to leave their parents at that young, tender age and live here throughout the year, all the time, studying. Now we shall shift our heart to another scene. We have to thank Shri Ramaswamy for giving us this report. Shri Ramaswamy, when Bhagwan asked him where he was working, and when he reported Ganga vanishes, Pondicherry, Bhagwan said, "From today you would be called Ganga Ramaswamy." He renamed him. So all thanks to Ganga Ramaswamy, Shri Ganga Ramaswamy, for this report. And what was more, Ganga Ramaswamy also reported that when he was seated there, he was feeling very hungry because he had been traveling from 6 o'clock the previous day evening. So when all this happened in front of him, after the Shivacharya left, Bhagwan did not fail to feed him. In fact, every half an hour, Bhagwan was giving him either milk or curd, till about 9 o'clock. Now, we shall shift to another scene here in one Ariyur Nagarajan. Now, what about him? He and his brother were living in Madurai. I think he's still living there in Madurai. And at that time, his brother had committed some mistake because of which both of them had to suffer very much. It brought about an estrangement between the parents and the sons also. And what was more, Shri Nagarajan was getting threats continuously from some sources. Life became an absolute torture, an incessant torture. He decided it was not worth living anymore. So he decided to take his life. And he prepared, he got some tablets also for that. He kept them ready. But having decided to leave the body, he postponed it by one night. We don't know why. It's all okay, we won't go into those details, but then something made him decide that the next day he would take it. Suicide, it comes out of an impulse. Just for a fraction of a second, you become so brave. Generally, people fear death. It is inherent in people. But then, sometimes, life gives you such beatings, such thrashes, that people temporarily get they do this act of bravery. it wouldn't last long. This impulse, when the impulse comes, unless it is executed immediately, it gets weakened after that. Now here he kept it ready for the next day, and the whole night he sat there in the office room, crying, his heart out, listening to the songs of Yogi Ramsuratkumar. He had already come to Yogi Ramsuratkumar. He knew the name, in fact, in all those bhajans, because the administrator of his company, a staunch devotee of Yogi Ramsuratkumar, and so often he accompanied the proprietor of the company because he could play on the dolki and a few other instruments. So he always sang with the other people there, the bhajans. So the whole night he was listening to some bhajans, crying, but it became 5 o'clock. Finally he fell asleep. When he woke up it was 5 o'clock, and then he knew that was his last day. Now he picked up courage, decided to go outside. He had kept the tablets in some place. He would go there and swallow them. So with this decision, he got up, he was coming towards the door, and there was a knock at the door on the other side. He wondered who it could be at that early hour. When he opened, he saw Shri Perumal Sadayan, who used to stay in Chariot Mandap. He was Bhagwan's attendant during one period. It is he who was standing there at that early hour. He walked inside, and then Nagarajan was thinking, what is this? I'm going out and I want to finish the work at the earliest, but here comes this man. Okay, I will attend now before doing anything else. So he tried to escape also. He tried some tricks. He was offering some food and coffee to Shri Perumal Sadayan, saying that I'll go out and get you all that. But strangely, Perumal Sadayan acted in a different way. He said, no, I don't need anything, you please sit here. He would not allow him to budge. So he continued, the whole scene continued on and on. And after some time, he broke down. Nagarajan could take it no more, and he broke down. So while talking with Shri Perumal Sadayan, he expressed the torture that he was going through, how everything had changed for him, and life was not worth living anymore, and that he wants to finish up. Now Perumal Sadayan started to scold him, saying that, have you ever thought of what the consequences of your stupid action? The way you are running into it, just think what would happen to your mother. Your mother, who loves you so much, was given birth to you. How much she would have done for you when you were a child, unable to do anything for yourself. Just imagine, you pass urine in motion and nobody would come near. It is your mother who would take you so lovingly in her lap and wipe you clean. When others may get disgusted, even the father, it is mother who does it. Just for a moment, imagine what the consequences would be, how she would feel after you are gone. Think of your father. Why, this is the office room where you are working. And imagine what would happen to the company. And the administrator, the proprietor, what would he feel? What humiliation for the company for the owner of the company. Have you ever stopped to think of the damage it would cause to other people? How dare you make such a decision? So Perumal again went on and on, this kind of tirade. And then Shri Nagarajan realized the stupidity of the blunder that he was going to commit. So that's how Bhagwan saved his life. And then he says he was still unmarried, and every time these people would go looking for a bride, and then the bride's people would agree, and then the day would be fixed for Nagarajan for the betrothal, but then something would happen, and the bride's people would not want it anymore, because there would be some kind of threat from somebody, and the threats would put them off, the bride's side. This began to happen not just once or twice, several times. He felt very bad. He thought he would never get married. And then he decided to visit Bhagwan. When Bhagwan seated him in front of him and started to smoke, looking at him, and when he raised his hand in the gesture of blessing, Shri Nagarajan, with folded hands, was praying. Of course, Bhagwan knew even without being told anything. So quietly, Bhagwan took the mala around his neck, the flower mala, and then he put it on the neck of Shri Nagarajan. And when Nagarajan returned to Madurai, there was a bride, and as usual they went to see her, and then Nagarajan's people thought again this would be dragging on, and the bride's people might come out with a no. But Bhagwan had already garlanded him, and therefore this time the bride's people were ready and willing. And Shri Nagarajan thanks Bhagwan heartily for giving him Rajeshwari, a wife who helps through his life in everything. So like this, he has some many other incidents also to say, many events to describe. But then we can go on. There are ever so many such stories of his glory. And this Bhagwan is here right in front of us, with his hand raised in benediction. We shall offer our today's prayers at his holy feet. Let us remember how Bhagwan, at the command of Paramacharya, formed a Ved Pathshala here. Bhagwan said at the time that Paramacharya was doing so much for Vedas and Vedic Pandits. He was going here and there, encouraging them, blessing them, honoring them with gifts of money, gifts of purse. And he said, Bhagwan said, India is dead without these Vedas. And Paramacharya is doing so much for the Vedas and the Vedic Pandits. And then he added one sentence. He said, what Paramacharya does for Vedas, by going here and there, Father uses this beggar's words also, this beggar's thoughts also for this. This beggar's sankalpa also for this work. This beggar sitting here and smoking, he doesn't go anywhere, but just by sitting here, he's also doing the same thing. But he is helping the Vedas to flourish. And this Ved Pathshala, when it was in 2012, Shri Muralidhara Swamiji came and blessed it. It is he who started it with all his blessings, and Pathshala is flourishing now. Thanks to our Bhagwan, thanks to Kanchi Paramacharya, and thanks to Shri Muralidhara Swamiji, today we can do a little service to Vedas, which Bhagwan held very dear. And this Bhagwan is omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient. There is nothing he does not know, there is nothing that he cannot do, and there is no place where he is not. Bhagwan, have you not declared from time to time that you are the cosmic controller? Bhagwan, please do something for the suffering of this world. The world is going through. Please remove the panic from the hearts of people and stop the spread of the disease. Now they say there's a variant of the virus, corona, and it spreads even faster. There are many threatening news, but then, Bhagwan, you are more powerful than the virus. It just takes one look from you to destroy it once for all.